Commander Jack Vaughn had trained for years to infiltrate enemy strongholds, but nothing could have prepared him for this. One moment he was sneaking through the ventilation system of the Zirek Imperial Palace, his advanced stealth suit rendering him invisible. The next, his suit glitched, and before he could react, he fell. Jack crashed through a fragile glass ceiling and landed with a heavy thud on a smooth, luxurious floor. His suit flickered, then failed completely, leaving him fully visible. The alarms didn't blare. The guards didn't storm in. But something far more dangerous was in the room with him. Princess Ylara Zirek. She stood across the room, her golden eyes wide with shock. Dressed in an elegant but battle-ready outfit, she was unlike any princess Jack had imagined. Tall, with deep blue skin and dark silver hair, she looked both regal and deadly. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then, without a word, she grabbed the energy blade from her side and ignited it. Jack barely rolled aside as she lunged, her blade slicing through the air where his head had been a second ago. He sprang to his feet, raising his hands. "Wait. Let's talk about this." Ylara didn't hesitate. She slashed again, forcing Jack to dodge backward, barely avoiding the burning edge of her weapon. He had no gun, no weapons. His only advantage was his speed and training. Jack had fought Zirek warriors before, but none as fast as her. She was relentless, her strikes precise, forcing him back toward the wall. His mind raced. He had one chance to survive. Using human unpredictability, Jack faked a stumble. As she swung to finish him, he twisted and caught her wrist. With a swift motion, he disarmed her, sending the energy blade flying. In one smooth move, he grabbed her from behind, locking her arms in a firm but careful grip. "I really don't want to hurt you, princess." His breath was heavy. "But if you call the guards, I'm dead." For a moment, Ylara struggled. Then, to his surprise, she stopped. She sighed. "If the guards find you, they won't just kill you. They'll kill me too." Jack frowned. "What?" Before she could answer, a voice echoed from outside the chamber. "Princess, are you safe?" We heard a noise. Yulara's eyes locked onto Jack's. She made a decision. "If you want to live, follow me." Without waiting for his answer, she grabbed his hand and pulled him toward a hidden passage behind a bookshelf. Jack hesitated for only a second, then followed. He had entered this palace expecting a mission. Instead, he had entered something far more dangerous. "You said." Jack had no choice but to follow Princess Ylara Zirek through the hidden passage. His instincts screamed trap, but right now she was his only chance at survival. The secret corridor was dark and narrow, the walls cold against his fingers as they ran. Jack's mind raced. Why was she helping him? She was the enemy, the heir to the Zirek dominion, the empire that wanted Earth destroyed. And yet, she hadn't called for guards. She hadn't killed him when she had the chance. Finally, after several twists and turns, they stopped inside a dimly lit chamber. Ylara pressed a control panel on the wall. The door behind them sealed shut. Jack took a deep breath, stepping back. "All right, princess. Start talking. Why didn't you turn me in?" Ylara studied him for a moment. Her golden eyes were sharp, but there was something else in them. Hesitation. "My father has ordered your people's destruction," she said finally. "The war will not end until Earth is nothing but ashes." Jack's jaw tightened. He had suspected this, but hearing it from her made it real. "I already knew that," he said. "What I don't know is why you care." She looked away, her expression unreadable. "Not all Zirek agree with my father. Some of us believe this war is madness." Jack frowned. "And you're one of them." Ylara let out a bitter laugh. "Does it surprise you that I don't want to see an entire species wiped out?" Jack studied her carefully. He wasn't sure if he could trust her, but before he could say anything, the sound of footsteps echoed through the passage behind them. Yulara's eyes widened. "They found us." Jack's instincts kicked in. He scanned the room. One exit, sealed, and no weapons except a small dagger on Ylara's belt. "Can you fight?" he asked. Ylara gave him a sharp look. "I just tried to kill you 5 minutes ago." "Fair point." Jack grabbed the dagger from her belt and flipped it in his hand. "Let's hope you're better at fighting with me than against me." The door behind them burst open. 2 Xeric assassins stepped inside, their sleek black armor reflecting the dim light. Unlike palace guards, these were killers, sent for one purpose only: to make sure Jack never left this palace alive. Jack barely dodged the first strike as one assassin lunged at him. He twisted, using human reflexes to slip under the attack and drive his dagger into the enemy's side. The assassin let out a sharp hiss but didn't fall. Xeric physiology was tough. Beside him, Ylara moved like lightning, flipping over the second assassin and striking him with her elbow. The assassin staggered, and she followed up with a precise kick to the throat. Jack finished off his opponent with a brutal punch to the head, knocking him unconscious. He turned to Ylara, breathing hard. She smirked. Not bad for a human. Jack wiped his dagger clean. Not bad for a princess. Then they heard more footsteps. Many more. Ylara looked at him. "We need to get out of here. Now." Jack nodded. This was just the beginning. Jack and Ylara sprinted down the dark passage, their footsteps echoing against the cold metal walls. Behind them, the sound of approaching Xeric soldiers grew louder. They had only seconds before they were trapped. Ylara skidded to a stop at the end of the corridor, slamming her hand against a control panel. A hidden door slid open, revealing a small storage room filled with ancient artifacts and weapons. Jack raised an eyebrow. A secret armory. Convenient. Ylara stepped inside quickly, pulling him with her. "It's not just an armory. It's a safe house. We should be invisible to palace scanners. For now." The door sealed behind them, and silence filled the room. Jack exhaled, gripping the dagger in his hand. He turned to Ylara, his eyes sharp. "All right, princess. You said not all Xeric want this war. You better explain. Fast." Ylara hesitated. She walked toward a dusty console and activated a holographic map. It showed the Xeric Dominion's vast empire, with a red marker over Earth. "My father believes that humanity is a threat," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "He thinks you are too dangerous, too unpredictable. He doesn't want peace. He wants annihilation." Jack crossed his arms. "Yeah, we figured that out when your fleet bombed Mars." She looked at him, guilt flashing in her golden eyes. "Not everyone agrees with him. A resistance has formed, within our own empire. I am part of it." Jack narrowed his eyes. "You're telling me the Emperor's own daughter is a traitor?" Ylara tensed. "I am telling you that my people are not all monsters." Jack studied her face. He had met too many aliens who wanted humanity dead to believe in mercy. But Ylara, she had saved his life twice now. That meant something. Before he could respond, the console beeped. A transmission. Yulara's face darkened. "It's him." Jack leaned in as the hologram flickered to life. The image of Emperor Xeric appeared, a towering figure with deep blue skin and piercing silver eyes. His voice was cold, sharp like a blade. "Daughter, you have disappointed me." Jack stiffened. This was bad. Ylara kept her face emotionless. "Father." The Emperor's eyes shifted, locking onto Jack. Even through the hologram, Jack felt the pure hatred in his stare. "You should not have brought the human here. You have betrayed your own blood." Yulara's hands clenched into fists. "I want this war to end." The Emperor sighed. "Then you are no longer my daughter." Suddenly, the room shook. A deep mechanical sound rumbled from above. Jack's instincts flared. "He's sending an execution squad." Ylara turned to him, her expression hard. "No, he's sending everyone." Jack gripped his dagger. "Then we better move." The hunt had begun. Jack tightened his grip on the dagger as the walls trembled with the sound of approaching forces. The Emperor had unleashed everything on them. Yulara's golden eyes darted to the storage room's only exit, a reinforced security door. "We can't fight them all," she said. "We need to get out of the palace." Jack smirked. "Yeah, you got a plan, princess, because I left my spaceship outside." Yulara moved to the control panel and quickly typed in a command. A holographic map of the palace appeared, showing a network of tunnels. She pointed to a route leading deep underground. "There's a prototype stealth ship in the palace hangar," she said. "If we reach it, we can escape." Jack raised an eyebrow. "You're saying your father built a ship that can't be tracked?" Yulara didn't look at him. "I helped design it." Jack let out a low whistle. "Remind me to never underestimate a princess again." Suddenly, the door lock flashed red. They had been found. A mechanical voice echoed through the room. "Surrender now. You are surrounded." Jack tensed. The Zyrek soldiers would blast through the door in seconds. Yulara grabbed 2 small, silver devices from a crate and tossed one to Jack. "Smoke grenades. When the door opens, run left." Jack caught the grenade and grinned. "I like the way you think." The door exploded inward, sending metal shards flying. A squad of heavily armed Zyrek enforcers rushed inside, weapons raised. Yulara and Jack threw the grenades. Instantly, thick, white smoke filled the room. The Zyrek soldiers hesitated. They weren't used to fighting blind. Jack grabbed Yulara's wrist. "Time to go." They sprinted down the passage, dodging energy blasts. Jack weaved between pillars, using his human speed and agility to stay ahead. Yulara led him through a hidden trapdoor, and they slid down a metal chute, landing in a dark underground corridor. Jack groaned. "Not my smoothest landing." Yulara ignored him, checking a glowing screen on her wrist. "The hangar is close, but we have another problem." Jack pushed himself up. "Of course we do. What now?" Yulara's face was grim. "The stealth ship can only be activated by a Zyrek pilot." Jack exhaled sharply. "So you're saying if something happens to you, I'm stranded in enemy territory?" Yulara gave him a serious look. "Yes, so don't let anything happen to me." Jack smirked. "I guess that makes you my VIP." Before Yulara could respond, the tunnel behind them exploded. Zyrek hunters poured in, weapons glowing. Yulara's eyes locked onto Jack's. "Run." And they did. Their only chance at survival was reaching the ship before the Emperor's forces caught them. But Jack had a gut feeling. This escape wasn't going to be easy. Jack and Yulara sprinted through the underground tunnel, their boots slamming against the metal floor. Behind them, the Zyrek hunters were gaining ground. Energy blasts zipped past, scorching the walls. Jack ducked just in time as a bolt sizzled over his head. "This would be easier with a gun," he shouted. Yulara didn't look back. "Then steal one." Jack grinned. "Good idea." He suddenly pivoted, launching himself off the wall with a burst of speed. Before the nearest Zyrek soldier could react, Jack grabbed his arm, twisted it, and wrenched the alien's blaster free. With a sharp elbow strike, he knocked the soldier out cold. Yulara was already at the next door, working the controls. "Hurry up, human." Jack fired a few warning shots at the advancing enemies, forcing them to take cover, then rushed through the doorway as it slammed shut behind him. They were now in a massive hangar, filled with sleek, high-tech Zyrek ships. But only one mattered, the stealth ship. It was small and sharp, built like a dagger with a smooth, reflective hull, perfect for escaping undetected. Jack whistled. "Nice ride." Yulara ran ahead, activating the ship's controls. The canopy slid open, revealing the cockpit. Jack climbed in beside her. "Please tell me you know how to fly this thing." Yulara shot him an annoyed glance. "I built it. Strap in." Jack didn't argue. He secured his harness as Yulara's fingers flew over the controls. The ship hummed to life, energy surging through its core. Then, boom! The hangar doors exploded inward, and the Emperor's elite guard stormed in. Jack cursed. They really don't want me leaving, huh? Elara's jaw tightened. Hold on. She slammed the throttle forward, and the ship lurched. It hovered for a split second, then blasted forward with a roar. Jack's stomach dropped as they shot toward the hangar exit. Energy blasts rained down from above, but Elara weaved through the fire like a true ace pilot. The massive hangar doors began to close, cutting off their escape. Jack gripped the seat. You better have a plan. Elara's eyes burned with determination. I do. It's called not dying. She pushed the engines to max, sending the ship into a full-speed dive. Jack's heart pounded as the ship narrowly squeezed through the closing doors, metal scraping against metal. Then, they were out. The endless stars stretched before them. They were free. Jack let out a breath. Not bad, princess. But Elara didn't celebrate. Her hands were tight on the controls. Don't relax yet. Jack followed her gaze to the radar. Behind them, an entire fleet of Zirek warships was in pursuit. Jack sighed. Of course, it's never easy. The real escape had just begun. Jack's fingers tightened around the stolen Zirek blaster as he stared at the radar screen. The red dots, enemy warships, were closing in fast. Elara's hands flew over the controls. We need to lose them. Jack raised an eyebrow. Yeah. How do you outrun an entire fleet? Elara smirked. By going somewhere they won't dare follow. She jerked the controls, and the ship suddenly dove downward, heading straight for a massive asteroid field. Jack's stomach flipped. Oh, that's a terrible idea. Energy blasts streaked past as the Zirek warships opened fire, but Elara zigzagged through space, dodging every shot with deadly precision. Jack exhaled. Okay, maybe not the worst idea. Then the asteroid field came into view. A swirling, chaotic storm of rock and debris, each piece big enough to crush their ship like a tin can. Jack's grip on his seat tightened. Yeah, never mind. Worst idea ever. Elara only grinned. Trust me, human. She punched the thrusters, and the ship plunged into the asteroid field. The Zirek warships hesitated, then followed. Jack swore. They're still on us. Elara's golden eyes gleamed with excitement. Not for long. She tilted the ship sideways, slipping between two massive spinning rocks with inches to spare. A Zirek fighter behind them wasn't as lucky. It slammed into an asteroid and exploded. Jack let out a breath. Remind me to never play cards against you. You don't flinch. Elara smirked but didn't take her eyes off the controls. There's a reason I built this ship. I know exactly how much it can handle. Behind them, another Zirek fighter clipped a rock, sending it spiraling into a warship. The collision ignited a massive explosion, knocking out two more ships. Jack grinned. All right, maybe this plan isn't so bad. Then, a warning alarm blared. Jack glanced at the screen. His smile vanished. We have a big problem. Elara checked the radar, and her expression darkened. A Zirek battleship had positioned itself at the exit of the asteroid field. Its cannons were fully charged, aiming directly at them. Jack groaned. Oh, come on. They're cutting us off. Elara clenched her jaw. Hold on tight. She yanked the controls, sending the ship into a wild spin as the battleship fired. A massive energy blast tore through the asteroids, sending chunks of rock flying in all directions. Jack shielded his face as debris hammered their ship. We're not making it through that. Elara didn't answer. Instead, she redirected all power to the engines. Jack's eyes widened. You're gonna ram them, aren't you? Elara's lips curled into a daring grin. Not exactly. She pushed the ship to maximum speed, heading straight for the battleship's massive hull. Jack braced himself. This was either going to work or kill them instantly. Jack's heart pounded as Elara accelerated straight toward the Zirek battleship. The massive warship loomed ahead, its cannons glowing, ready to fire. This is suicide, Jack shouted, gripping his seat. Yulara's hands were steady on the controls. Only if I miss. Jack groaned. I really hate that answer. The battleship fired. A massive energy beam tore through space, barely missing them. The force of the blast sent their ship spinning wildly. Alarms blared. Jack grabbed the controls, trying to stabilize, but Yulara was already adjusting course. They were seconds away from crashing into the battleship's hull. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. We're dead. We're dead. We're. Suddenly, Yulara flipped the ship upside down and pulled a hard turn, skimming the battleship's surface by mere inches. The Zirak warship's cannons, too slow to adjust, fired at the wrong angle, blasting their own hull instead. Jack's eyes flew open. Holy! The explosion rippled across the battleship, creating a shockwave that launched their ship forward. Jack clutched the seat. That was insane. Yulara smirked. Told you I wouldn't miss. Behind them, the battleship listed to one side, fires raging along its structure. The Zirak fleet scattered, avoiding the debris. Jack checked the radar. They're regrouping. We still need to jump to light speed. Yulara's fingers flew over the controls. Calculating a course now. Jack exhaled. Please tell me we have enough fuel for this. Yulara hesitated. Jack's stomach sank. Oh no. The stealth drive is damaged, she admitted. It will work, but we have one shot. If I miscalculate, we could jump into a black hole, a sun, or the middle of another enemy fleet. Jack ran a hand through his hair. Great. Just what I needed. More ways to die. The remaining Zirak warships locked onto them, forming a blockade. They were preparing for a final attack. Jack met Yulara's gaze. Whatever you do, do it now. Yulara's eyes burned with determination. She took a deep breath and hit the jump drive. For a brief moment, everything froze. The stars around them stretched into long streaks of light. Then, they'd vanished into hyperspace. Silence filled the cockpit. Jack let out a shaky breath. Did we make it? Yulara checked the coordinates. We're alive. She leaned back, her body finally relaxing. And we're officially off the Emperor's radar. For now. Jack gave her a tired grin. Remind me to never doubt you again. Yulara smirked. I will. Jack exhaled and leaned back. For the first time in hours, they weren't running for their lives. But deep down, he knew this wasn't over. The Emperor wouldn't stop hunting them. And if they wanted to survive, they had to strike first. Jack stared at the swirling blue tunnel of hyperspace outside the cockpit window. For the first time in what felt like forever, he could actually breathe. No Zirak warships, no explosions, no one trying to kill him. For now. But the silence didn't bring peace. It only gave him time to think. Yulara studied the ship's status on the control panel. The stealth drive took heavy damage. We can't jump again without repairs. Jack sighed. Figures. So where exactly are we going? Yulara tapped the screen, and a holographic map appeared, showing a small hidden moon in an uncharted sector. This is Varus 9, she explained. A secret outpost used by the Zirak resistance. My people who oppose the war. Jack raised an eyebrow. Wait, so you're saying there are actually Zirak who don't want to kill humans? Yulara nodded. Not all of us believe in my father's war. The resistance has been fighting in the shadows for years. If we can reach them, they'll help us. Jack smirked. So, we're running to the rebels for backup. I like it. Yulara's golden eyes darkened. This isn't just about running, Jack. We can't keep escaping forever. If we want to survive, we need to strike back. Jack leaned forward. All right, Princess, I'm listening. Yulara zoomed in on the holographic map, highlighting a massive space station orbiting a red dwarf star. This is Outpost Cayenne, my father's primary military research station. It's where he develops new weapons, ships, and most importantly, his fleet's control systems. Jack's eyes widened. Wait, are you saying we can shut down his entire fleet? Yulara nodded. Yes, if we can hack into Xi'an's central network, we could disable the Zirak warships, disrupt communications, and even cripple their defenses. It would give humanity, and the resistance, a real chance to fight back. Jack whistled. That's a bold plan. Also sounds impossible. Ylara smirked. That's why we need help. Jack leaned back, thinking. All right, we find your rebels, fix this ship, and take down an entire war fleet. No pressure. Before Ylara could respond, alarms blared. The ship shook violently, throwing Jack against the control panel. What now? He shouted. Ylara checked the screen. Her face went pale. We've got company. Jack looked at the radar. His stomach dropped. A Zirak hunter ship had somehow tracked them through hyperspace and was closing in fast. They must have placed a tracker on us, Ylara said. Jack grabbed his blaster. Then let's rip it off before they call for reinforcements. Ylara pulled the controls hard, yanking them out of hyperspace. The stars snapped back into place as they dropped into real space, right above a dark, rocky moon. Jack gritted his teeth as the enemy ship charged straight for them. The fight wasn't over yet. The moment Jack and Ylara dropped out of hyperspace, the Zirak hunter ship was already on them, its cannons glowing with deadly energy. Jack gripped his seat as alarms blared. This guy isn't wasting any time. Yalara's hands flew over the controls. Hold on. She jerked the ship downward, diving toward the rocky moon below. The hunter ship followed, firing rapidly. Bright energy blasts tore through space, narrowly missing their tail. Jack checked the radar. This thing is too fast. We can't outrun it. Yalara's eyes burned with determination. Then we don't run. Jack blinked. Wait, what? Before he could finish, Ylara killed the engines, sending their ship into a deadly free fall toward the moon's surface. Jack's stomach lurched. Are you insane? The hunter ship followed, matching their descent, thinking it had them trapped. Then, at the last second, Ylara reactivated the engines, flipping the ship into a tight barrel roll and skimming just above the jagged cliffs. The Zirak pilot wasn't as lucky. The hunter ship reacted too late, slamming into an outcropping of rock with a massive explosion. Jack let out a shaky breath. Remind me to never doubt you again. Ylara smirked. You already said that. She brought the ship down in a hidden canyon, landing smoothly on the rocky surface. Jack unbuckled his harness. All right, let's find that tracker before more of them show up. They hurried outside into the cold, dark terrain. The moon's surface was rough and uneven, with deep craters and sharp ridges stretching in all directions. Ylara pulled out a scanner, sweeping it over the hull. It's here somewhere. Jack glanced at the sky. Let's move fast. If they tracked us once, they can track us again. The scanner beeped rapidly. Ylara pointed. There. On the ship's rear panel, a small metallic device blinked with a faint red light. Jack pulled out his blaster. Let's just shoot it off. Ylara shook her head. No. If we destroy it, they'll know we found it. We need to trick them. Jack raised an eyebrow. You got a plan? Ylara smirked. Always. She removed the tracker carefully, then turned toward the wreckage of the Zirak hunter ship in the distance. Jack grinned. Oh, I see where this is going. They hurried over to the burning wreckage and placed the tracker inside the remains of the enemy ship. Jack dusted off his hands. So when the Zirak reinforcements arrive, they'll think we were destroyed. Ylara finished. Jack smirked. I like the way you think, Princess. Ylara activated the ship's cloaking device, hiding them completely. Now they had the perfect chance to strike back, and the Zirak would never see it coming. Jack and Ylara crouched in the shadows of their cloaked ship, watching the Zirak reinforcements arrive. A fleet of sleek black warships descended onto the moon, scanning the wreckage of the destroyed hunter ship. Jack smirked. Hook, line, and sinker. Ylara nodded. They think we're dead. That gives us an advantage. Jack checked his blaster. So, what's the plan? Because I'm guessing you didn't bring me all the way here just to hide. Yulara's golden eyes gleamed. No, we're taking the fight to them. She pulled up a holographic map of Outpost Hyan, the Zirek's most advanced military research station. Jack whistled. That's a fortress. Yulara pointed at a power relay station near the outpost's shield generators. If we disable this, the station's defenses will drop. Jack grinned. And then? Yulara smirked. Then we send a little message. Jack chuckled. I love it when you talk dangerous. The infiltration. Under the cover of darkness, they snuck into the Zirek base, blending with the shadows. Jack took out a guard silently, while Yulara disabled the security cameras. Jack placed explosive charges on the power relays. This should do it. Yulara pressed a button on her wrist console, uploading a virus into their system. When the power goes out, their fleet's entire navigation and targeting systems will crash. Jack raised an eyebrow. You had this virus ready. Yulara smirked. I always come prepared. Suddenly, alarms blared. The base had detected them. Jack groaned. Of course, no plan ever goes smoothly. Zirek soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. Jack opened fire, taking cover behind a supply crate. How much longer? Yulara typed furiously. Almost there. Cover me. Jack fired at the approaching soldiers, forcing them to take cover. But there were too many. Yulara hit the final command and slammed the detonator. Boom! The power relay exploded, plunging the entire outpost into chaos. The shields collapsed, and inside the station, ships and weapons systems failed. Jack and Yulara ran back to their ship, dodging enemy fire. As they took off, the Zirek warships spiraled out of control, crashing into each other. Jack whooped. Now that's a beautiful sight. Yulara smirked. And now, time for the final touch. She activated the hacked transmission system, broadcasting a message across the entire Zirek Empire. This is Princess Yulara of the Zirek. My father's war is built on lies. The resistance will no longer hide. The time to fight back is now. Jack grinned. That should get their attention. As they jumped into hyperspace, Yulara exhaled. The war wasn't over, but for the first time, they weren't just running. Now, they were leading the fight.